Hello, George. Hello, Bess. What in the world's the matter with you, George? Are you sick? Gosh, I hope not. It's so unlike you not to be dropping me a postcard or dropping me a note. I don't think I've heard from you all summer. Are you okay? If you're not, then perhaps this book will brighten your spirits. In reading the Sunday paper a couple of weeks ago, I saw the book review for Crossing the Border with the 4th Cavalry. I read it, and I was really rather intrigued with it, and I said to myself, gosh, I bet George would like to have this. So it's a brand new book. I called several bookstores, and the book is so new that it wasn't on the shelves yet. However, one of our bookstores said they would order it special for me, which they did. They called last week and said it was in. I decided that just sending you the book would be fine, but wouldn't it be neat if it were autographed to you? Well, how to find the author? I called George Carmack, the book critic, and he was more than happy to give me the information. He said he read the book, and of course he wrote the review on it, and he was terribly impressed with it. I got a thing in my throat here. Anyway, he was very impressed with it, and he had the home phone and the business phone of the author, Richard Thompson. So Mr. Carmack, the critic, was very nice. He gave it to me. So I called Mr. Thompson, told him who I was, told him I had this friend who was an ex-cavalryman, and I thought my friend would be very, very interested in reading his book, that I had it on order, and when it came in, would he be good enough to autograph it for me? Oh, well, absolutely. Now, anybody likes to be complimented and feel that their work is appreciated, so he was just delighted to talk to me. So I called him back a few days later, said the book is in, and how about getting together to have it autographed? And he said, gosh, that would be great. So I said, when can we do it? He said, any time. So I said, how about Friday? He said, great. How about lunch? He said, that's even better. So last Friday, just a couple days ago, I went down to his place of business. He owns a very large wholesale tire company, the International Tire Company. I met him. He was very nice. We got in my car, and I thought, hell, I might as well splurge. We went to the Hotel Gunter, one of our really lovely wonderful old hotels with a fabulous dining room. And I think the author, Richard Thompson, was kind of impressed that we went there. Of course, I felt that I had to take him to lunch because I was the one who initiated all this. And he said, oh, no, let's go Dutch. I said, oh, no, don't authors always eat free? Don't people always pamper authors and give them gifts? And I said, you're no different, so I'm going to take you to lunch. And I said, next time you can take me to lunch. And he said, that's a deal. Anyway, we had a lovely lunch. He is a most interesting individual. We took some pictures, and of course you have the pictures right here to look at. He's very interested. He's a local San Antonio guy, and his great-grandfather, his grandfather, not his great-grandfather, his grandfather, his father, and himself were all in the Marines, although he said he really wanted to be in the cavalry. The cavalry is the big love of his life. He has read countless books. He has bought countless books pertaining to the cavalry, tactics, cavalry warfare, etc., etc. And he is probably the most knowledgeable person on the cavalry in the whole state of Texas, if not in the country. This is his great evocation. It took him 8 years to write this book. And I think if you look at the bibliography, if you look at the footnotes, if you look at the newspaper periodicals, you look at everything that he read and studied in order to come up with this book, I think you'll see what a tremendous labor it was, and of course, as far as he's concerned, it was a labor of love. If you look at the pictures in the center of the book, it will show the author in uniform. He told me that he knew the kind of material those uniforms were made of. He bought material approximating the type of material. Incidentally, it's all wool. He had a tailor make up that uniform. He got the uniform design from the archives and had the tailor follow it exactly. Even the buttons on the uniform are genuine. He went to button conventions, if you've ever heard of such a thing, and they do have them, and they're quite a popular thing. Anyway, he went to a button convention somewhere in the state of Texas, and luckily found buttons, the exact buttons that he wanted from that period. They are not a new casting. They are the original buttons from a cavalry uniform from that 1843 period. He is just delighted. Then he took the cap measurements, drawing, and so forth to a hat maker and had them make the hat. So then, of course, he got the old table and etc. and set the stage and had his photograph taken. He is so immersed in this, he himself took trips by car, by horseback, and on foot, this whole area that he describes in the book. And he discovered a fort that has long been there. No one knows the name of it. It just has the four walls, but he, from his expertise, knew exactly what the fort was. He talked to the people around there, and they didn't know what the name of the fort or what it was. But anyway, he now goes around the state and he lectures on the cavalry and this type of thing. I wanted to ask him about how he went about getting his book published, and it was published by the Texian Press, as you can see. He's ordered 1,500 copies, and he said they're going pretty good. Of course, a number of copies were sent to the major newspapers in the state, and he's had about 9 reviews, all of which, he said, were excellent. Now, I do planning on getting together with him at a later date. I think we'll have lunch, and I think I'll bring this tape recorder along and just let him talk and ramble, and I'm going to ask him how he went about getting this book published, because I think it would be of genuine interest to you. I did skim through this book. I really would have liked to have read it, but I did skim through it, and it's very interesting, and I am really impressed with the tremendous amount of detail and with his writing ability. I think he does an excellent job of writing, and of course all the details are factual. There is no guesswork whatsoever. Richard Thompson is very likable, and he is very valuable. He did practically all of the talking. I had a number of questions I wanted to ask him. I was only able to ask him 2 or 3 questions, and his answers were so long, and they got involved, and one answer led to another answer, and I didn't ever get around to asking him all the questions that I wanted to ask him about this book. So the next time we get together, so I guess that proves that I'm a poor interviewer, that I wasn't able to get my questions in. Cut him off so that he could cut out the extraneous stuff. But he was a really, really delightful person, and I brought along, incidentally, a couple of pictures of you that were taken here at our house when you and Betts were here. And he said, he's a good-looking fella. And I said, yeah, but you should see him in person. He is a really handsome devil. Of course, I lie a lot, but I wanted to make a good impression on him. He has shelves and shelves and shelves of books. He has at home, he has all sorts of cavalry mementos and memorabilia. He has swords, he has pistols. I guess he's probably got everything except a trench mortar. He's got an original McClellan saddle, one of the oldies. He has just about got everything that you can think of pertaining to the cavalry. He is a real nut on the subject, and that's the reason I guess he wrote such a wonderful book, because it was, as I said, a real labor of love. Now, I hope you're going to enjoy this. I think you will. I hope you're not sick, so that you can sit down and enjoy it. I've included the review by George Carmack, and I've included the pictures so that you can see what the author looks like. This is about all I have to say on the subject of the book. I'm going to let this tape run by putting on some Irish jokes by the Irish comedian Hal Roach. At this point, he's talking about Henry Ford coming to Ireland for a visit. And Henry Ford is being honored by Ireland in this joke, and the Irish typically are going to try and get some money out of him. So here's Hal Roach. See what you think. I think he's kind of funny.
The world's greatest inventor, the world's greatest industrialist, the world's greatest philanthropist, and we welcome you here to Ireland. He said, by the way, we're starting to build a new hospital here in the city, and we thought in honor of your parents you'd like to make a donation to the hospital. So Henry Ford said, of course, and he sat down and he wrote out a cheque for £5,000. The next day, in the Cork papers, the newspapers read headlines: Henry Ford donates £50,000 to the new hospital. Of course, the lads converged on him that evening again and said, we apologize about the mistake in the newspaper, but tomorrow morning we'll have it rectified back to the 5,000. Oh, we're as cute as the devil. So Henry Ford said, wait a minute, he said, how much is this hospital costing? And they said £50,000. So he said, give me back the cheque. So he took back the cheque, tore it up. He wrote a new cheque for £50,000, and he said, I'll give you this cheque under one condition, that the inscription over the hospital will be the one I have in mind. They said they didn't care what inscription it was. And if you go to Cork, ladies and gentlemen, you can still see it today, and it reads, I came among you and you took me in. Write it down. Ah, you're lovely people, you're lovely people. Casey went to the dentist last week. He said, I'm very worried, all my teeth are turning yellow. What can I do? And the dentist said, wear a brown tie. Tie. I like it. Murphy went to the bank to have a cheque cashed. And the teller said, can you identify yourself? And Murphy took a mirror from his pocket, looked at it and said, yes, it's definitely me. But we Irish, as I say, like a little laugh at ourselves. There's a lot of nonsense talk today about ethnic humour. There's nothing wrong with ethnic humour if you can enjoy a little joke on yourselves, in good taste, of course. We Irish will live forever because of our sense of humour. I went to Niagara Falls, by the way, very spectacular, when I was playing in Buffalo, New York. This Irish plumber, looking at Niagara Falls, he said, I think I can fix this. But one of the funniest little jokes I've heard of in Ireland, in a little village for a long time, is Murphy and the husband, they bought a little house, you see, and it was near the railway station, but it was very noisy, particularly when the trains were going by. The house used to shake a lot. So one day the landlord visited the house, and Mrs. Murphy was trying to explain to him they were going through a bad time with this train business, you see. Now she said, sometimes when I'm in bed and the train goes by, it nearly knocks me out of the bed. So the landlord said, now, you've got to be exaggerating here. I know now it's not good, but it can't be that bad. Well, she said, I'm telling you now, there's a train due any minute, she says, and I'm going to lie on the bed and you'll see for yourself. As a matter of fact, she said, now, why don't you just lie down here beside me and then you'll experience what I'm trying to tell you. So the landlord lay down beside her, and didn't Murphy walk in the door. He said, what's going on here? And the landlord said, you won't believe this, but we're waiting for a train.